Good evening and welcome to Liner Notes Radio, episode 7. This episode is very special because we're doing it in memoriam of the terrible tragedy that occurred on Sunday evening in Las Vegas, the shooting at the Harvest Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have with me a wonderful singer-songwriter, Derek Credito. He's local to Baltimore. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, well, I guess local to Baltimore, and I've been a part of this scene here for several years now, and so I know like the power of music and how much it can bring people together and can get people to stand up in a time when when we're called upon to stand up. And I think that this is one of those occasions where I was really looking to start playing more heavily and maybe under better circumstances, and so I was really, saddened by the events, obviously, but also glad to be out, for a good cause.
Well, thank you very much for coming out on such short notice. I really appreciate it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your musical background? I mean, when did you start music? Were you young, and when did you first pick up the guitar and start singing? Where did that come about, and how did you get to here?
At the moment I knew that I wanted to pick up a guitar, it was like my 13th birthday party. And I had prepared a mixtape of like music from the very early 90s, like everything ranging from like REM to NWA and Ice Cube. And my classmates who were coming to the party, they wanted to listen to rock. Mm-hmm. And there was a new Guns N' Roses song that was out at the time back in 1991. And it came on the radio, and this girl said to me, "Don't change it or I'll kill you." And so I didn't change it. I loved what I heard, and in that moment, I think it was "You Could Be Mine," and I heard that song, that guitar riff, that voice, and I think that Guns N' Roses probably forever changed my life at that point. So at 13, I decided that guitar was what I wanted to do with my life.
And since then, what has been your musical timeline?
It's been, I would say, sporadic at best. I mean, I guess I might play really heavily for a while and then put it down. I'm also a teacher by trade, so I'm either immersed in what I'm doing as an English professor or releasing CDs and playing out. And the style of music that I play is more along the lines of acoustic folk. So it's like maybe the music that inspires me to play is often different from the music that I actually play. Mm-hmm.
Now, you have an album out, correct?
I do.
And what is that album called, and how can people get a hold of it?
It's called Neither Fish Nor Fowl. I released everything under my surname, Credito. And so you can look up Credito, Neither Fish Nor Fowl. Had a video called Jail the Jailers, which is on YouTube. And it's up on iTunes, Amazon, and every place online that music is sold. And if you inbox me on Facebook, I'll be glad to send you a copy as well. So I've got plenty of CDs sitting around ready to find new owners.
Some of the songs on your album, I mean, all of them are great.
Oh, thank you.
And some in particular I just love. There's one that you get really angry on, and you talk about jail or something in particular. I'm trying to remember, because I saw your album release party at the Riley's Oyster House.
Yes, thank you very much for being there, by the way.
Oh, it was amazing, and it was my honor to be able to see you. I mean,
thanks.
It was great, because you've been a long-time friend and of both myself, but also of the Baltimore Songwriter Showcase. You played, I think, one of our very first ones, and you've played subsequent ones when we were at the Depot and Savannah's and a couple other places. So I'm a big fan of your music.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. So there are some songs that are very emotionally charged. Anyone in particular that you think has helped be cathartic in an expression of an emotion that, because I think music provides such a wonderful outlet for emotion.
It does.
And it helps you work things out. Is there any particular song or experience that you've had that has allowed you to work out certain feelings that?
Well, on that record in particular, there's one song that is sort of like the happy anecdote, or it's the last song on the record, which I think is a pretty like emotionally downbeat kind of record as a collection. The songs were recorded over 10 years, so it's not like a conventional record in any way. But like the very last song because it offers that sort of lighthearted relief, I guess. It's called Je suis ready to ride, and I like to play that song in times when when things aren't going so well, and that's sort of like the pick me up that one might need at that time. So if I were to say what song would be like a cathartic or a release of any kind, I think that might be it.
Well, there's a couple other songs. I think there's one about
yes, there is one about
oral sex.
About oral sex, yeah.
Maybe that's a better way. I was like, but that one is very impassioned as well.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. I wrote that one long time ago, and maybe it was a little bit for shock value, but it's kind of like the song where it means a lot to me when someone says, "I bought your record, I like your record," and that's the song that I remember. I mean, maybe that's sort of expected.
Well, what's the song called?
The song is called Amnesiac, and maybe we could play it tonight if it's in the cards. I don't know if it's appropriate, but
oh, why not? Why not?
All right. Maybe we can work something out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also have a song on my next album that I'm going to be recording in the winter of next year and early spring, called No Mood, and it's about a sexless relationship, and sex can be very important to a relationship because of that intimacy factor. It isn't everything, but it definitely brings apart a certain level of intimacy and desirability that it can be very important, a very important component to any relationship. So that one was a way for me to get my frustrations out, so to speak, and so I totally relate with the idea that there are a lot of frustrations, regardless as if they're amusing or frustrating or whatever, but music and art can provide a wonderful outlet for all of these frustrations and emotions, whether they're happy or whether they're sad, whether they're angry or petty, or it allows you to just work things out, right?
And I guess that's just how it worked out. And if people dig it, then that's cool. It's been really awesome. Like I've played that song for like people from many different cultures all around the world. Like I saw some dudes who were originally from like the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, and they were sitting there listening to the song about blowjob. They're sitting there like laughing, like thinking about maybe what would be forbidden in their own culture and
right.
Perhaps in some way. So it's always been really kind of cool seeing how people respond to that. But one way or another, I guess there's a response.
Good. Well, I mean, I love that song, but there's also so many other songs, and you being an English professor as well, and I actually majored in English. So I'm a writer by trade. Even if a song is amusing or a story is amusing, people are entertained and they're uplifted by songs that are happy or amusing. It allows us to take a break from our lives. If there's a miserable time, we can actually go and have a great moment, and laugh and just forget about our problems for a little while, and then kind of go back to them and start to fix them and attack the day again. But also music and writing and art can also be a great vehicle for exposing anger and secrets and vulnerabilities and hard feelings that maybe are hard to talk about just talking about them, but
I think
in a
you just
song.
described my record right there. Neither Fish Nor Fowl is a collection of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, one might also say that the record I released last year was really a collection of so many mixed messages. And a good buddy of mine, a longtime friend of mine, actually has critiqued the record as being like a mixture of all these, random ideas, and that song being one example, of course. So I guess it's to me it's been about that. It's been about, like, a lot of those songs were written and recorded when I was living far away from home, living in East Asia, getting my start as an English teacher over in like places like Thailand and Korea. Mm-hmm. And so far from home, far from all that is familiar, and music was sort of like that raft I held on to in the middle of the ocean.
So music is a universal tool. It's a universal form of communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I spent a year in France and traveled all around Europe, and honestly, that's where I got my confidence to start singing. I always loved music. I always loved singing, but I didn't have a whole lot of confidence for several reasons. And when I started singing karaoke in France, just out of fun, and I was drunk and with a bunch of friends, and they actually turned to me afterwards and they're like, "You're really good. You should do this more often." And I was like, "Yeah, you're drunk. You don't know what you're talking about."
That was where I got my start as well, except in Thailand. I learned Thai and became intimate with the Thai musical culture through karaoke. Just like, like on my breaks at work, I would just go to the mall and just sing karaoke in the little booths. And that was a lot of fun. It was like really like some of the times of my life were spent doing that. Mm-hmm. So karaoke in another language is awesome.
Well, and did the music, you said you studied music and Thai music, did that kind of music affect or influence your album?
I would say it definitely did. The music that I was immersed in at the time, we're talking like a little over a decade ago, living in Thailand, and I loved Thai music so much. Like I would listen to it in my car even after I came back to the States 5 years later. Mm-hmm. I would still be listening to those old CDs. And I don't know what it is, but I was really the only one of my, Western friends who was really digging the Thai music scene. Like my Canadian friends would all say, "Oh, that music sounds like it was from 20 years ago." But it really meant something to me. It resonated with me. And it's what really kept me motivated to continue doing music at a time when my life had taken a decidedly different direction other than music. And so it was always there, sort of like that little raft or piece of wood hanging onto in the middle of the ocean, so to speak, like where it was always sort of there for me to hold on to. And I guess like when I was over there in Thailand, it was music is one of the first things I notice, like music and then maybe food second when I go to a new culture. So I guess like and I guess you could say that the music was a little bit pop oriented and catchy, and it just had a certain charm to it that just really resonated with me in a way that it's just hard to describe. But it was, it did what it had to do.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but what I'd like to do is have you play one of your songs. I think the last one on your album you had said might be resonating. And do you think it's appropriate given the climate right now? I mean, what is this song about?
Well, the song is about taking a road trip, or maybe just having a desire to take a road trip, and it was sort of written with the western part of the United States in mind. I think it would be a fitting tribute. The song that I was actually going to play tonight was one that was written in the light of the Pulse Orlando shooting.
Do you want to do that one instead, and then you can play a couple of songs if you'd like.
Yeah, the one I had in mind is called "I Am Sadness," and it's probably not the most uplifting song, but it's certainly one that was inspired by events like those that transpired in the last day.
Okay. Well, let's hear that one.
Cool.
All right. And without further ado, Derek Credito will be playing. And what is it? I Am Sadness.
I Am Sadness.
Off of your album.
This is actually not off an album yet.
Ooh.
But I guess if everything goes well and I can maybe sell a few thousand more copies of Neither Fish Nor Fowl, maybe a new album will be in the cards.
Hear that, guys? This is fresh. First, are you playing it for the first time, videotaping or live?
I actually played it here a long time ago when we did, back in April with a Native American flute player.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing!
And so I feel like I'm kind of missing something here, but I think I can manage. I hope. And so.
Well, I think you're great. I think you're amazing. And so, without further ado, Derek Credito.
This is a song called "I Am Sadness," and it was originally written the day after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando over a year ago, and so I thought it would be maybe fitting to play it once again tonight. I am sadness, I am sadness, like a tsunami has crashed down on me. am sadness. I am sad. I am sadness. Don't think I'll manage. Took a tumble when castles crumbled. I am sadness. I am sad. I am sadness. I am sadness. One motherfucker brought so much misery. I am sadness. I am sad. Sadness. I am sadness. I am sadness. I am sadness.
That was Derek Credito. I am sadness. Thank you so much, Derek. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hi, welcome back to Liner Notes Radio. I'm your co-host, Meg B, along with Michele McTierney, who's behind the camera right now, and our guest, Derek Credito, sharing songs from his latest album this past year, Neither Fish Nor Fowl. We're coming together tonight in memory and honor of those affected by the recent events in Las Vegas, and our hearts and prayers are with them. So in the essence of that, music heals, and I hope you enjoy the music.
Take the natural order, rearrange disorder, wonder why the chaos, who had the control. Try to take this country, make it something else. Hardly recall being naked and free. So I wanna hide this country or leave this country and forget this country. on a cover in black. Once I was ashamed, the feeling has come back. So I wanna hide my face or lose my face and forget my face, forget my face, forget my face, forget my face. All right. Yeah. There's another song off that record that I thought would be appropriate. Something that's not so sad. Something that it's sort of, this song was written as a tribute to the American West, about the idea of packing up the car, going all the way across, and so it's a song like this that I thought might be really what is needed tonight, if anyone out there needs it or is listening. So it's called Je suis ready to ride. I said goodbye to yesterday. I'm in the saddle again. I'm ready for the open road. Je suis ready to ride. I tried all them other ways, yeah. Doing like my so-called friends. There's so much more for me to know. Je suis ready to ride. It ain't always no bed of roses where I'm gonna rest my head when the world closes. It's not foolish pride. Je suis ready to ride. Swap my suits for denim and boots, and I headed toward the sun. I can't say when I'll return. Je suis ready to ride. It ain't always no bed of roses where I'm gonna rest my head when the world closes. It's not foolish pride. Je suis ready. I tried to walk the line, but it just gets longer every time. There's so much more I know if you're willing to let go. I said goodbye to yesterday. I'm in the saddle again, ready for the open road. Je suis ready to ride. I tried all them other ways, doing like my so-called friends. There's so much more for me I know. Je suis ready to ride. It ain't always no bed of roses where I'm gonna rest my head when the world closes. It's not foolish pride. Je suis ready. Come on, saddle up now. Let's go for a ride. Or maybe I'll see you on the other side. It's no time to be denied. Je suis ready to ride. thank you very much.
So we're kind of putting together this music memorial in pieces as we go along, because obviously nobody could predict what was going to happen today. Now, one of the songs, did you already play it, the one that was inspired by Paul? She played that at the end of the last segment.
I did. It was I Am Sadness.
I Am Sadness, yeah. That was a really pretty line you had in there about the tsunami and things.
Thanks.
At times like this, are there any particular artists that you turn to listen to their music to get you through a time of sadness or tragedy? And what, not necessarily musical influences, but musical comforts?
There's lots. There's lots of music. And I guess if I could maybe pinpoint one artist in particular, or one band, and that is the Foo Fighters. I think that over the last 20 plus years, they've really been able to come across as this really empathetic, sort of really a band that you know that they know how you're feeling, and I think that that's what really I think draws people to the Foo Fighters, is that they're just really
their empathy.
They sort of exude empathy, maybe just naturally. Yeah. And I think that's I've seen them in concert many times, like and it's just clear. I think it's and that's just one artist of many that I would turn to maybe in times like this. But yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind. That's
beautiful. Is there any one song in particular that's your go-to to listen to? I have a number of artists. There's Otis Redding, any kind of Motown, Supremes, Temptations. That kind of just cheers me up, because I listened to that a lot as a kid growing up. Up until the time I was 14, I didn't know other music existed, which is good, I'm told, by my peers. And sometimes people are like, how do you know that music from way back when? Well, because it was great. And hopefully people like you and other contemporaries of ours will keep stuff like that alive. Good songwriting with a good beat that helps heal a bad memory and make it better, kind of a thing. I know my co-host Michelle is actually putting together some things that we're doing in tribute for the people who are affected by the recent events in Las Vegas. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll join you in a few moments. Thanks. You're on Liner Notes Radio, live from Hotel RL.
Hi, I'm Michele McTierney. Welcome back to Liner Notes Radio. Very sad news on Sunday about the shooting in Las Vegas. A man took rifles into the Mandalay Bay hotel, knocked out a window on the 32nd floor, and proceeded to rain down bullets on a innocent crowd watching the Harvest Festival, a country music festival, across the street. And then the man turned the gun on himself and killed himself. We have word that now 59 lives were lost, and as of today, 527 people were injured at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival. Very, very sad news, but Meg and I wanted to make sure to have a radio show tonight, not only to show full support of and continued support of live music, but also in memoriam for those lost and injured during this tragic and devastating event. The news has said that this is the worst mass shooting
I think it's surpassed
in modern history.
Yeah.
So it reminds me, we had a recent See the Good suicide prevention benefit concert, and we raised a lot of money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I can't help thinking that if we had more health care and advocates for mental illness, and this man had gotten assistance, the help that he needed, and if people who saw maybe warning signs and didn't dismiss them, perhaps this could have been prevented. We never know.
Sure.
So I'm not going to make that speculation, but it's definitely an argument for better health care, and all of us showing more alertness and awareness of mental illness and the seriousness that it can cause. But on a lighter note, we do have two wonderful local musicians with us. You guys have already seen Derek Credito and performing music off of his Neither Fish Nor Fowl album, and also some other original music that hadn't even been put on an album yet, so exciting news. We also have with us Dee Calhoun. He has a current album called Go to the Devil and a past album called Rock Gut, which he will be performing some music off of those albums. Dee, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? So you're a singer-songwriter.
Yes, and actually Rock Gut is the current album, and Go to the Devil.
Oh, sorry, I got it mixed up.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm from Frederick, Maryland. Part of the Maryland Doom scene. I sing for Doom band Iron Man on Rise Above Records, Metal Blade Records. Launched the solo career about 2 years ago, just doing acoustic stuff. Just another outlet for music, just something to do, in some downtime. And it kind of grew legs. And I was picked up by Argonauta Records in
Congratulations.
2016. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And done some touring East Coast up into Canada, and actually am working on putting together a European tour next spring.
Very nice.
And you're hearing that first here, so
all right.
exclusive.
We're excited for you.
Thank you.
Now, when did you first start music? I mean, when did you know that you liked music, that you wanted to do it, and how did you get started?
When I was 9 years old, I saw Kiss on television. And,
the cartoon?
No, there was them on the Paul Lynde Halloween special, October of 1976.
Wow.
And it was the epiphany. I'm like, I want to do that. So Kiss made me want to play music. Black Sabbath made me want to play dark, heavy music. And Judas Priest gave me my vocal template. And it kind of went from there.
Nice. So what instruments do you play?
Instrumentally, I'm a bassist by trade. I'm a singer, lyricist first and foremost. But the solo project got me playing acoustic guitar, and I like to tell people I'm a hack guitarist, but I'm a pretty good hack guitarist. On my albums, I play guitar, percussion, keyboards, harmonica. Managed to get a little bit of cello on this new record.
Oh, sweet.
Things like that.
Very cool.
Very nice. So, what have been some of your influences?
Well, Kiss, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, number one. But at the same time, growing up, I loved artists like Jim Croce, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Anything with like some good, rich vocal harmonies and things like that.
A gritty story to tell.
I've always had a real broad taste in music, and I attribute that to, of all things, the old Dr. Demento radio show. Because they were all novelty records, but they covered every genre and type and style of music from, old 78 records all the way to the present. So there was a little bit of everything, and that kind of exposed me to just this huge spectrum of music. And I'm a metalhead by heart, but on any given day, there are any number of things you might catch me listening to.
Now, Derek and I were talking earlier about the power of music, the healing power of music, the cathartic power of music, and how you can not only entertain people and with a happy song or a funny song, allow them to disengage from their hardships for a little while, maybe renew and rejuvenate and be able to tackle the world again because they're able to laugh and have a good time, but also the power, the teaching power and the connective power of music. If there's a song that's really poignant and intrinsic, lyrics and music itself can be such a powerful tool, both for the artist to get that emotion out and also for the connectivity of an audience. Are there any songs that kind of speak to you right now that you've written that have allowed you to have that catharsis?
All of them.
All of them.
I write what I feel. That's always first and foremost been my doctrine. And a good example of that, my sister used to give me grief. Why don't you write happy songs?
My aunt used to tell me that too.
And there's a song on the last Iron Man record called The Worst and Longest Day that is about depression from depression's point of view.
Interesting.
And it is a gut-wrenching song.
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we need music the most as a healing tool, and maybe that's why so many of us write a sad song. But there's beauty or a silver lining in it, usually. Sometimes not. But, you know, a lot of people I know have said the same thing to me. Why don't you write happier songs? And it's like, well, you have to write what's true to you, and the truth will set you free.
Well, The Worst and Longest Day, I say, has no redeeming quality whatsoever. But in London, we went over to play Rise Above's 25th anniversary festival. A fan came up to me and, you know, asked me, you know, are you the singer from Iron Man? Did you write The Worst and Longest Day? And I said yes. And he said that song had such a positive impact on him because it showed him that someone else felt that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a, you know, misery loves company, as it were. But that was a case where putting the negative out there
had a positive
made
effect.
Someone feel better just because they didn't feel alone about it anymore.
I know what that's like because my record released last year was panned as a sad record.
Aw. Yeah.
And so.
But that's just it. I really believe in the healing nature of it, and people coming together and having empathy with each other because you're sharing something so true that's happened to or with or from someone you know.
Well, I remember sharing Shut My Mouth with my producer, and I had him listen to it because it was just one of these songs that I'd put together, and he really loved it. He's like, you have to put this on your album. And I said, I don't know, I don't think I can, because the song is about domestic violence and child abuse, and you know, and it was very personal.
Sure.
So I was afraid to share that, and I didn't know what the repercussions of sharing that would also be. But a lot of people have come up to me since the album has come out and said, thank you so much for putting that song on your album, and thank you for being brave enough to share that, because, you know, I've experienced something like that, and that song made me feel not so alone.
That's awesome.
And with October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, the song is full of curse words, which is why it's kind of hard to play. So we've actually censored it, and so hopefully it'll be on a couple of radio stations coming up.
That's great.
And I'll be hopefully playing it in the future. But you're absolutely right. I mean, you have to take risks as an artist and hold life, and your own especially, because otherwise it's not authentic. Hold yourself up to a mirror and a certain standard. Have you guys been challenged to be open and honest, like that bearing of your soul? Have you ever been scared of writing a song or scared of singing a song that you wrote out?
No, because that's always been the intent of writing it, is to get it out there.
Yeah.
Now, there is a song on my new album that I wrote the lyric for the morning of my 3-year-old daughter's funeral.
Oh, my goodness.
In 2000.
I'm so sorry.
And
My deepest condolences.
Thank you. I wrote it, and it was just there for 17 years. And finally, this year, when I was getting material ready for the new album, I finally felt compelled to include that. And a week and a half ago, played it live.
Wow.
Felt compelled to play it live, and it was awful from an emotional standpoint. But again, that's why I do what I do. It's a way to get those feelings out. It's a way to do these things. No one's ever had to challenge me to be honest. That's my nature.
Well, and hopefully sharing that particular song helps somebody else if they've been through a similar experience, help them heal. Yeah. I think, sometimes people, music, it wraps you up from a young age, and it gets you through things, and then you don't realize till you're older just exactly everything that it does for you.
Absolutely.
You know? Hi.
Hey. So, what are your thoughts about the healing power of music? Have you ever had fans come up, aside from that one gentleman who said that the song that you would have never expected had such an impact? Have you guys had any other experiences like that?
I've definitely had people tell me that this song or that song got them through a really bad part of their life or inspired them, or if nothing else, got the blood going, you know. In any nature of therapy. I
was asking Derek earlier in an earlier segment what particular artist has been there for you that you go to, and he was saying Foo Fighters, and I want to thank Derek Credito for being our guest on this first half of Liner Notes Radio.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an honor tonight.
Thank you so much, Derek. Give me a hug. You're awesome.
We'll be in touch soon.
Definitely. Derek Credito, everyone.
Thank you. I was just thinking, as far as music that's gotten. Besides, I used to go. My go-to was Otis Redding, as far as to get through anything like a bad breakup or a bad day. I would turn to Otis, and then in 2016, my mom was in the hospital for 7 to 9 weeks, and it was a really hard time. And I had discovered this artist named Frank Turner. He's British, and he was in it was a hardcore band called Million Dead, and he then went solo, and his album was called Positive Songs for Negative People, and it was just an amazing album that took really hard stuff, but in a rock anthem way made it better. It's like, when you meet death, be out of breath, meaning make the most of your life. And I was just taking that to heart, and it was wintertime, and you just blasted that, and you could feel warm again and alive again, because you knew no matter how bad it was, how scared you were that you might lose someone you love, that you were going to get through it no matter what, because it's about the journey and not giving up hope. I think that's really important for people that either listen to or play music, to try and convey that in some form in their songs.
Absolutely.
And with that, we are going to take another break. We have a couple more people who are going to be joining us on stage, and we'll be back in a little bit with Liner Notes Radio. I'm Michele McTierney.
I'm Meg B.
And
I'm D. Calhoun.
We'll be back in a little bit. Bye-bye.
Hi, welcome back to Liner Notes Radio with Meg B. and Michele McTierney, broadcasting to you live from Hotel RL in Baltimore. Our latest musician guest is D. Calhoun, and his latest album is Rotgut. He's going to play some songs, and we are joining together tonight in solidarity for those in Las Vegas. Our hearts and prayers are with you.
Strangle me, give me air and let me live my life. The world is out there and waits for me. It's complexity. Desperate, have my breath to forge a path myself in front of me. touch that clenches through the skin. Not what I dream of, not the kind of love that'll help me be a man. Let me see the horrors that run free within mankind. If ignorance be bliss, I'll do without. Let me know what lurks ahead so I can meet it all. Fire, funds, and beasts that roam about. Reaching for sustenance, just the type of life I'd like to lead. Mama came and snatched the food away. Worst abuse my young mind can conceive.
That was Dee Calhoun, and next up is Quentin Randall going to share some music tonight. We're coming together in solidarity for the events that have affected America yet again.
The song that I'm about to sing is it's a song called On the Run, and it's kind of when I wrote this song, it wasn't really supposed to be the way I'm about to play it. The song is actually kind of about it's kind of about like pursuing someone. It's kind of about like pursuing someone and just you know, that's really it. Just kind of pursuing someone. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll talk more about it when we sit down. She was more like a beauty queen, beholding my eyes. She was a tango in disguise. He wanted nothing but her. He would do anything to get with her. She knew one thing, to run. She's on the run with his soul. 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 got a call on the phone. To his surprise, it was her on the other line. She said, nice try. The chase ensues. He's a man who will not lose, even though he knows he's not the one. She's on the run with his soul. 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 This is the last dance. One more chance at romance. His arms stretched out wide within the blink of an eye. She's gone. She's on the run with his soul. 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 Thank you.
Woo! Woo!
Amazing.
Oh my God. Quentin Randall, everybody. Quentin Randall. So what's that song called again?
It's called On the Run.
On the Run. So we have a microphone here. I think we have another microphone floating around. Oh, yeah. And let me get you this one.
Check, check.
Here. You guys take that. Share it.
Now, Quentin, what's a website where people can get in touch with you and your music?
Oh, well, I'm a Googleable. Yeah. No.
Googleable.
Just type my name in, Quentin Randall, or just go to Instagram, type Baltimore Blues _ And if that doesn't work, just type in Baltimore Blues in your Google search box, and I will come up.
You have adorable photos. His Instagram is adorable, so make sure you check it out.
I know why you're saying that, too. It has nothing to do with me, y'all.
Shorty.
It has nothing to do with me.
And it's some of the sexiest music. The sexiest music I've ever heard.
Oh, man.
All right.
Well, we're just, got oodles of talent up on stage tonight. Everybody has different voices, but they're coming together as one to kind of share the music experience and share, particularly today, on how it can help heal in the community. Baltimore knows all about that. We've had our own struggles in this city, and I know during the Freddie Gray events that I believe the BSO went outside onto the streets of Baltimore and performed. So that's your classical symphony performing on the streets of Baltimore just to bring people together through music and try and help heal, because there's so much anger. And, does anybody have any events that they want to talk about? Or, we just had Derek Credito on the show earlier, and he was talking about a song and performed a song that he wrote after the Pulse events happened down in Miami. And now the Las Vegas incident has surpassed that as far as in lives lost, and become the largest amount, how would you say it, Michelle? For
the largest mass shooting
in
modern history.
Which is why we have, the stage is a candlelight vigil.
Off.
It might be a little off stage, so I'm going to pull it into the shot. We have some candles here lit. We have 6 candles lit. There were 59 total so far. that have been lost in Vegas, just shy of 60. So we have 6 candles lit in their honor.
And over 527 people were injured. So just a terrible, terrible tragedy. So guys, have you, Quentin, ever been affected by an event and that it's caused you to write a song, either personal, something that's happened to you personally? Because I know Dee explained a event that drastically affected his music and his life, and how he was able to share that and actually record it, you know. And what's been something that you have possibly experienced or witnessed and that's had an effect on you?
When the Freddie Gray riots was going on, I wrote a song during that time. It was a song that was it wasn't really written already. The composition was there, just something I was playing around with. Mm-hmm. And I just wrote some lyrics, and it wasn't, it's one of those songs like, at the moment it need to be written, you know, and it's not something you just perform all the time. It has to, like, when you perform the song, it actually has to have a purpose to it. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to just go up at an open mic and play that song. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a song that actually means something. So it's like when I play it, it has to be for that cause. It's not really something, because it'll die. It'll die after a while, And what I mean when I say that is that if you play it without honoring its purpose, mm-hmm. it won't really hold up like it should. At least the way I would hope that it would, how I felt when I wrote it. Because how I felt when I wrote it, I want you to feel that way when you hear it. Mm. So it's really that. The stuff that happened, what happened in Vegas, I ain't gonna be honest with you, I'm still trying to process it, because I saw it, and then it was just like, I was like, what the hell's going on? Because it was like 1 a.m. Yeah. I saw it, and then I just kept seeing it, because I'm like, that's an odd time to even hear something like that.
Right, because of the time difference. We're in East Coast time.
Exactly. And I had to talk with someone today before I came in, and I was telling him he was talking about how it affects us. Yeah. And, when you find out something like that right then and there, the best thing you can do is talk about it. But one of the things that we notice is that, I still feel something when someone dies. Mm-hmm. I'm not desensitized that much, whereas though, like, if I see a video, I'm not going to feel something. If I see like a video of people running and bodies falling, some of them getting killed on that video, or some of them just getting injured, so it's like, I can't watch that because I don't want to see that. Now, it doesn't mean I want to turn a blind eye, it's just that I choose not to see that. I read up on it, and I just take in what I need to take in, to know what I'm going to talk about if I talk about this issue. Right. But
process
at the same,
and filter out what.
Yeah. I'm not going to just react real fast. Like, I'm not going to just be impulsive and just write something. I want to know what happened, because people died. It's not, oh man, Timmy broke his finger. No, someone died. And then I was just telling him how what really affects me is not just how people died. It's those moments when the folks that I see, or that I see every day, I think about, well, damn, like, I'm thinking about the elderly, like, they can't run. Yeah. I'm thinking about the people getting trampled. I'm thinking about, what if a loved one is right beside their loved one, and instantly they see them get shot, like, and they die. Like, I'm thinking about just the emotional.
The proximity.
Yeah, I think about how that affects you psychologically, and I think about that because that's where everything kind of get lost in the sauce, because it's like when someone dies, it should really affect you. Like, it should really affect you, not to the point, you can do something about it, but it should still, death should still mean something, instead of it being so much the norm that it's just like,
that everybody's being desensitized.
Yeah. It's like just watching a commercial these days. Someone's getting killed, or stuff like that. So, I haven't really wrote no song about this in particular. Sometimes I don't really need to write a song. I need to process it, and talk about it. You know, if people want to talk about it, I haven't really wrote no song about it. So, but
well, I think most artists are empathetic, and that's why we are artists. That's why we are doing what we're doing. I know it's hard for me as well to watch the news and to see these horrific things happen every single day. It's not just this event, but it's day to day, people killing each other, people having such little regard for human life and for people's bodies, for people's rights. You know, it's not just killing someone, it's killing their heart, killing their soul, lots of other crimes that people can do and horrible things that people can do against each other. Boma, have you had any experiences or whatever with something that's impacted you personally? That because all of us as artists, everything kind of like ends up being filtered through us. We see the world differently, I think, than a lot of people. And it kind of like, I know it resonates with me because I immediately start to think, how can I possibly help? How can I prevent this from happening again? Yeah. That's just in my makeup. And how can I make something good out of something so terrible? Yeah. Have you had anything that you can share?
I mean, lately, like, a lot of what's been going on within, like, the Black community and, you know, around the world, and or more so in our states, I don't know, it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. I'm not a songwriter. I'm more so of a percussionist, so I don't really take much opportunity to, like, write songs or sing about them, lyrics or anything. But I am a 3D artist, and I sometimes like to maybe shine a brighter light on people of color, I guess, in a more positive way rather than kind of showing anger through Facebook posts or
I was just thinking
articles
about that
or something
with the news.
And I appreciate people that do that, just that, people who, like, constantly draw or show something about people of color through their art in a positive light rather than I feel like throwing more fuel to the fire and fighting this whole racism battle by attacking, you know, a different side.
It kind of seems like the news is a double-edged sword because you need to know what's going on, but then by the very fact, I used to be a news reporter, and they always said, what bleeds leads. But by that happening, all we constantly see in the first few minutes of the news when you tune in is death, more death. And perhaps if we had a little more joy or some positive stories that shared some equal time, perhaps the influence on society would change, and that people, as you said so beautifully, would shed some light on community rather than darkness. We need to know and be informed what's going on there, but the presentation sometimes is it's just inundated, and there needs to be balance, I think.
There does, and I think, you know, knowledge is power. You know, the more you know, the more you can have a better perspective, and the more you can teach other people and express yourself in a more positive way, I think. And I think that's what people need right now.
Well, Dee, do you have anything to add?
Well, something that's been on my mind today is desensitization. And I think back to Columbine, and the world stopped when Columbine happened, and to a much lesser degree than it stopped 2 years later with 9/11. It's sad that it doesn't stop anymore when this happens. It's like, oh, here's another one. You know, Columbine wasn't the first, but it got the notoriety due to the nature of it, the planning, and just everything that was rolled up into
children being involved.
Yeah, and everything stopped. I remember at my job, everyone crowding around TVs, and, you know, I'm getting phone calls. Are you seeing what's going on in Colorado? That's not the case anymore, and that's as terrifying as the events themselves, is the fact that it's becoming the norm.
Well, I think there's the disease of inaction, and talking. So something that really irritates me, especially about the election and about a lot of issues that people that are floating around, people get very angry and very animated on social media about certain issues, but rarely do I see anyone act. They have plenty to say, and they also throw out a whole lot of belligerence and anger and hatred, and I don't understand how that can help anything. I feel like Martin Luther King, said you need to go to a place of light, not dark, and a place of love and not hatred, and that is how, you can, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's how you can make a difference in the world, and that's how you make change happen. He had peaceful protests. I don't understand how people can continue to be angry and start stepping on other people's freedoms and freedom of speech, and not peacefully protest to show their opinions, but also the fact that you have plenty to say, but you do nothing about it. You don't take your time. You don't put out any effort. You don't put out any money or give of yourself to solve the problem. Because if all you do is talk, you're part of the problem. What do you guys think about that?
You know what I did this morning in the wake of because I got up and I heard what happened, and I immediately knew what was going to start coming out. Oh. Immediately. Mm-hmm. And by the time I got to work, there it was. And in the wake of all this hate and this and that and every other kind of BS that comes wrapped up, I went online and scheduled to give blood tomorrow.
That's beautiful.
I said,
that
you know
really
what?
Beautiful.
I can't go to Las Vegas. I can't go to Puerto Rico. I can't go to Houston. I can't go. If I give blood, where's it going to end up? I don't know. It might end up, my next door neighbor might get it. But that's freeing up.
You gave blood?
I gave blood this morning. Yeah. It's been 2 months of giving blood.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, and it's like you said.
Do you guys need juice boxes right now? I love snacks. We must give people
weak
snacks.
Right now.
But no, and that's coming from what you were speaking of, all the talk. And I'll be right there. Pointing out. Mm-hmm. I feel like I always say I'm a student of truth. I'm not going to throw out rumors, or I'm going to point out, facts.
Mm-hmm. Back up what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the wake of today, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to stand on a soapbox. I'm going to do something.
Good for you. I mean, I woke up this morning to this terrible news, and I immediately called Meg, and I'm like, hey, we have to do the show about this topic, and call our friends and try to get as many people out here as possible.
Michelle basically told me what was going on because I was in between doctor appointments with my mom, so I didn't know what was going on. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen any of the images yet, but I've been listening to talk radio all day in between doctors and recovering my identity, which was stolen yesterday because my wallet got taken. Mm-hmm. But Michelle totally said, I want to do something beautiful with our show tonight to help people process this. And I just thought that was awesome.
Because this isn't just talking. I really feel that music has a healing power. And I also feel that here in Baltimore and everywhere, we need to build a community that we support each other and that we breed positivity. I mean, I brought out all these instruments, and I brought out,
There's a piano back here. She's got guitars. I mean, there's more.
Because it's so important to me to reach out to people when there's a tragedy. Mm-hmm. And I feel bad because I feel like we're still talking.
Right.
I don't feel like I've done enough. And I'm going to try to figure out some things tomorrow in order to, because I can't give blood because of some medical issues, but I'm going to try to figure out some actions that I can do more above and beyond this. But the idea of these beautiful people coming out, I mean, Dee, you came from Frederick, and you had been in Virginia, and then you went from Virginia to Frederick to drop off, to
And then
dress
you came
and
to
get
Baltimore.
your, and then you came all the way to Baltimore
just to play a couple songs for you guys at home and talk
about this and you know, and to show solidarity. I think the fact that this was also at a music festival, I don't want this to color people's views and allow, because we can't allow terrorism, whether it's foreign or domestic.
Don't let anyone keep you from doing what you love. Please keep going out and living your life. Don't be afraid to go see people play music because one person who needed help wasn't able to be reached. And Michelle brought this up earlier that if you can't give blood, perhaps donate. Michelle, for the second year in a row, put together a suicide prevention benefit concert. Perhaps donate to the American Foundation for suicide. You know, since this could have been prevented, this man that was deeply troubled ended up taking his own life. So now we don't have answers. And perhaps if someone was able to help, I guess just be more aware of the people that are around you, and you know, not that anybody can always prevent this, but to be aware of your surroundings and in touch with your people. You know,
and be aware of the people that you care about, and also the people that you peripherally talk to and know. A lot of people said, we never knew this guy was to this extent, but there's always warning signs. But we're going to take another break. We have one more segment coming up, and we're going to have both Dee and Quentin play another song, and then we're going to close out with a moment of silence and memorial. But we'll be back. Yes.
Can I add one thing?
Please.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please do.
Okay.
It's an open forum night.
It is.
I wanted to add this only because I have a philosophy on how I go about thinking I'm doing something, and my philosophy is that if basically everything we see on the news, I mean, everyone knows it's not everything,
right?
But everyone knows that it's actually a lot worse. And what I mean by that is that, you know, you take away the shootings, you take away all types of stuff, just different parts of the world. You know, celebrities will always tell you, like, you know, when they travel, they say the same thing. Unless you travel, you don't really understand how good you got it.
Right, poverty is
poverty, everything. And the reason why I say that, because I think about that, and I think about that when things like this happen.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can do is stay true to what I believe is the right thing to do, because I'm a teacher. And by me being a teacher, it's not something that you're going to see. Like I say, as I'm saying this right now, you may not ever see it. It's not meant to be seen. It's meant to be felt. And you'll see where I'm going with this, because I'm going to make it short. My philosophy is that when I teach my students, or if I teach anybody that's either my age or older or whatever that I've been teaching privately, my philosophy is that I'm teaching these people something that they want to do. But not the idea. I'm teaching these people something they want to do. But while they're learning something, I'm also teaching them how to teach other people.
That's beautiful. Right.
And the reason why I do that, because I'm a firm believer you can do anything you want. The only thing is that you just need to slow your mind down and understand the basics of whatever it is. Just understand the basics and the foundation. I understand that in order for me to hit those folks that I would want to hit when I see stuff like this, I got to stay true to just the core. The core of it is where I'm at. Whether it's me teaching and the influence I have among people that I come across, people that I talk to, because my thing is that if I be true to myself, I could talk to a little kid right now, and who knows, that little kid can just carry one little bit of knowledge, and he might grow up and just carry that little bit of knowledge, or just how I carry myself, and he can kind of have that as a trait or a part of his DNA, if it's something that, you know, he really feel that, man, I really like hold that as value. And then you kind of just, you walk in your purpose, and then you see how people look at you. It's about presentation. You carry yourself a certain way. Yeah. Now, I say that because that's kind of the core. You know, we sitting here talking. This is actually a good thing, because it ain't just all one color.
That's right.
And that's the beauty of it. I don't know him. I just met him. You know, I've known you, but this is the most I've talked to you.
Right.
And so forth. And I say that because it's like, it's talking.
We're all so connected, but
Yeah.
at the same time disconnected in
Yeah.
certain ways because social media, you don't get that interpersonal.
Yeah, and plus I don't want to
connection.
talk. And plus, like anyone who really understands the real core of trying to find the medium in anything,
Yeah.
understands that you can't say this with one. You can't say this among your people. You gotta say this among people that you know good and well have totally different beliefs than you do.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is that I'm not going to talk to you if I don't. I'm not going to talk to. I'm not going to not talk to you because you feel this way. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. Anything you say is not going to affect me, but at the same time, I want to find a medium. So, aside from just the teaching and carrying yourself in a way that you hope that those folks can see you and they carry themselves, it's like us having this conversation. It still holds value. It holds value because it's 3 white people, it's 2 black folks. You could be you could keep it like that.
2 men, 3 women.
2
Yeah.
men, yeah. I mean, you
We
can
got
add
it
that.
going
2
on
men,
up here.
but
Gay,
hold on.
straight, whatever. It's like
and then
everybody.
You gotta,
Do you teach music? Is that what you teach?
I taught at
Is
schools.
one of the
I've taught
things you
children.
teach?
Well,
Because it's a
that's
universal language, so that's a great
that's
thing
the
to
main
teach.
that's the main thing I teach. I mean, like when my way of like teaching is just that you have to understand. It's all about. Just learning something builds so much character. It builds discipline. It builds so many different things. But but I don't want to deviate from that. But I'm just saying that everything we doing is actually working because it's nice to sit up here and talk about this and not look and see my same color because then you just preaching to the choir. You got to talk to the people that you feel uncomfortable with. You got to talk to the people that, well, we never really had a conversation like this.
Right.
Because it's like, I need to know who you are. At the end of the day, what exactly are you losing?
Words are important.
Yeah,
and
what are you
but
losing?
back it up
What are
with
you losing?
action. Yeah.
Like if I tell you my beliefs, what am I losing?
Right.
Do I feel like I'm losing the edge on you? That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Everyone feels like they're losing something or losing the edge if they engage in just being open and just stating their facts. You could be an atheist for all I care. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. I'm not because I want to know you.
But by learning, you're educating yourself by being around people. They say surround yourself with people from all walks of life and people who are doing great things, and you too shall be great because you're learning from those that are around you and then pushing forward to make something out of your journey. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, with that, we are going to close out this segment. We have one more that we'll be doing, and we'll start that next segment off with a song from both Dee and Quentin. Thank you very much for watching Liner Notes Radio. I'm
Stay
Michele
tuned.
McTierney.
I'm Meg B.
And we'll be back in a little bit. Thank you.
Screams bubble from within. Breeze, smell of unbathed skin. Truth is beating down the door. Broken lives are on the floor. I'd go drown another sin. Right good. Now the pain begins. isolated Bodie cell. Right God, good intention fails. Right good, sleep on rusty
That was the title track from my first record. That's Rot Gut.
I want to do a song by Gary Clark Jr. called When My Train Pulls In. So one of the reasons why I like this song by Gary Clark Jr. is because for a long time I was a fan of John Mayer as far as him playing blues. And the way he would play it, the way John Mayer played it really would kind of hit with me. And then when I got put on to Gary Clark Jr., whole different feel, and it was kind of nice to see someone of my color playing blues the right way with the feel. And this song is one of the first songs I learned, and I really want to play this because it really resonates with me, and I hope it does with you. Every day, nothing seems to change. Everywhere I go, I keep saying same old thing, and now I can take it no more. Now I'm gonna leave this town, but I ain't got nowhere else to go now. Wake up in the morning to more bad news than sometimes I feel like I was born to lose, and Lord, it's driving me out of my mind. Now catch the next train and now move on down the line. And I'll be ready now. I'll be ready when my train pulls in. And I'll be ready now. And I'll be ready when my train pulls in. And I know my time ain't long here. Now I can't live this life again. Walk down the street, run across, smiling face, and they'll stab you in the back as soon as you walk away. And Lord, it's driving me out of my mind. If things don't change around here, ain't no use in me hanging around. And I'll be ready now. I'll be ready when my train pulls in. And I'll be ready now. I'll be ready when my train pulls in. And I know my time ain't long here. And I can't live this life again.
We're back, Liner Notes Radio. I'm Michele McTierney.
I'm Meg B.
And why don't you each introduce yourselves and what you do in the music and arts realm?
My name is Quentin Randall. I'm a teacher, I'm a father, I'm a friend. And in the arts world, I just compose music, and I try to spread all that knowledge to folks who need it. And that's it.
I'm Boma Jack. I am a percussionist, and I am a 3D artist.
I'm Dee Calhoun. I'm a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, author. First and foremost, a father. And I'm very glad to be here with you fine people tonight.
We're glad to have you.
We're glad to have all of you. Thank you so much.
And I've grown a phone since I've been here.
So we were talking about about teaching, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Both of you said you had kids, and I don't have any. I know Meg doesn't.
I
want
Boma, but all of us are teachers in a way, especially if we're artists. I understand about that ripple effect, the butterfly effect, where you never know what one thing you may say to someone or one thing you may do that can have a lasting impact on them. The idea of doing one nice thing for somebody, and then all of a sudden they pay it forward. And if you do one nice thing for somebody, like open the door, it could change their entire day. You let them in traffic. You know, that one nice thing could change somebody's whole perspective. And I sometimes wonder if some of these people who do these terrible things are they're hurting so incredibly badly. They're not getting the help and the support that they need. I don't think anyone is inherently evil, but I definitely think that there are wrong turns that people take, poor choices that they make, and a lot of times people get so deep into quicksand that what they think makes sense is a senseless act of violence.
I'm a customer service supervisor by day, and so I put myself and my coworkers put ourselves in a position every day to be yelled at. And I'll see people get so frustrated, and I'll tell my son this. My son's 12, and I'll say, I try to keep in mind that what they're complaining about might not be that big a deal. You don't know what else is going on in their day.
Mm-hmm. True.
That everything has just piled and piled and piled, and then they see that last thing, and they're like, you know what? And they're on that phone.
Right.
And sometimes you don't always diffuse that.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think in a lot of cases when they go to bed at night, they think, wow, I really let that guy have it, and he was very nice to me and was helpful. And I don't think that in a, I win kind of way. But that's where I try to put myself, to be that, for lack of a better term, a beacon of light. To try to inspire people. I try to do that with my son, with my daughter. Just try to be a positive influence.
Well, most religions are based upon that. I mean, regardless of what you believe, most of the time it's live by example, treat others as you wish to be treated. Yeah. And that's just not Christian, it's not just Islam, it's not just Buddhism, it's pretty much every single religion. I've done a lot of comparative religion studies, and one of the best classes I ever took was comparative religion. And that's kind of the baseline, is if you treat other people well, hopefully they will treat you well back, and you can't give up on that notion. Mm-hmm. I've been on both sides of the customer service as well. I've been a customer service person. A lot of times when you're a musician, you are in customer service in a way. Yeah. And I've also been that bad customer. Sometimes you just have a bad day. And I remember, I'll be, really angry, and I'll be like, you don't understand. This screwed up my life today. And then I'll be like, I'll pause, and I'll be like, it's not your fault. I'm not mad at you, the person who's on the other side of the phone, and I apologize. I am just frustrated at the situation. Yeah. And hopefully you can help me through this. And because I don't want to be that horrible person. I don't want to be that person where they are on the defensive and you feel that heat in your face when somebody attacks you. I mean, I was assaulted last month, and the one thing I had to think was, I was like, what could be going on in this woman's life to have her hurt another person for a small reason like making a right turn in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to think, like, she must have horrible things going on, and it's not me she's angry at. It's I just happen to be there.
She's mad and you're handy.
Exactly. And I didn't try to escalate the situation. I could have gone a completely extreme way. I granted, I don't think I handled everything as perfectly as I could have, but at the same time, I think if we just showed a little more kindness and understanding to people, situations wouldn't escalate like they do. What do you guys think, Boma? What are your thoughts?
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. I studied Buddhism a couple years ago, and I tried to meditating, and I tried, finding that peace of mind, so I know that I can make sure I'm always a positive force, so I'm not like projecting anger towards people that don't deserve it. And I try not to bottle everything up and like release it on someone in a shitty situation like you had to experience. But yeah, I completely agree. I think, no one knows what people are going through, and I think people should be patient with one another and understand that, the world doesn't really revolve around you, and your perspective of what a situation could be something completely different for someone else, and you need to take that in consideration.
Well, Buddhism even says treat people with love who treat you with hatred or anger. I mean, I'm paraphrasing,
Right.
because they're the ones who need the love the most.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
That's a hard thing for people, because I see it all the time with social media or with people in person, or just people on the street. They want to give what they get, and if they get horrible treatment, they're going to give it back, and they're going to give it back tenfold.
Right.
They're going to teach that person a lesson. And if they're angry with somebody else, and then they see someone who reminds them of that source of pain or anger or hatred, they're going to stick it to that person. I feel like that's why we have so many of these problems with gender and race and religion, and other, sexuality and other kinds of conflict, because we have this inability to see each other as fellow human beings. I think it goes back to that desensitization of we don't see people as people anymore.
I agree, yeah.
Like, there's two things that came in my mind when y'all was talking. One was that actually was when he was talking, and the second one is when y'all two was talking. The first one was that I think, I don't know the numbers, but just being around folk and just observing folk, a lot of people, when they, like you said, they give what they want to get. A lot of folks, they have an agenda. They're not really doing it. Some folks that want to help folks, they have an agenda because they expect something in return, or they just don't. A lot of folks, when they do something for someone, 9 times out of 10, there's an agenda behind it.
It's self-serving?
It's self-serving. They don't really, they're not really going to do it to really help, because if that was the case, then, how he said about the customer that was arguing, I agree with that. It's like all you can do is be yourself and just hope that whatever happens. You got to have faith in that. Folks want to see instant things happen. If I do something for this person, all right, I want to see what they're going to do. Like, I want to see it pay off. Yeah. That's the whole point, is that you're not meant to see anything pay off. You're meant to do the right thing.
Put it
and
out
just
there in the
hope,
universe and hope it comes around to help people.
It goes, you pay it forward in that regard. I don't think people really understand how that really works, because people have expectations on things you shouldn't have expectations on. It's called living. It's called doing the right thing. It's called living, really living your purpose, you know? And the reality is that if you're self-aware, you understand that. But you have to, and you have to be you have to really understand yourself and know things that can trigger, or things just to catch me, like, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. Or I shouldn't have said this to this person, because, and then it goes on to what y'all two was talking about. Like, you know, the guy that was the shooter, I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of folks don't have support systems. They don't have,
right.
And I could be wrong when I say this, but I don't really have a support system when it comes to my family. My support system is the people I've known in the last 20 years doing music.
Right.
Well, really 15 years doing music or just being on the scene. I mean, I've been on the scene since 2003. I've seen so many people, came across so many people, talked to so many people, and I was young, you know, and I'm almost 30 now. So it's like, you know, just seeing all these people and seeing how we are still connected. We talk and we, you know, we in each other's personal lives. Like we sharing food together, you know, stuff like that. And a testament to that is being able to talk, you know, being able to like be vulnerable, being able to just tell someone like, hey man, like I need somebody to talk to, you know. And but in order for that mode to be like more consistent among strangers, is that you have to really understand yourself. You know, it's everything we saying can be done within, but it's so easy to like make it complicated and make it difficult. It's a very simple thing to do. If you know yourself, then that means that, like, first you have to know yourself, because if you know yourself, then you can articulate how you are to someone else if you're trying to explain something. If you heard about something, you want to talk to that person, you know, but you have to also be mindful that this person might not know all the situations, so they might react differently. You have to understand that they're only going to take what you can give them to, you know, to be there for you emotionally and really build something of a friendship, whereas though those moments that you can break down, you know you can turn to somebody. And I think that's a very simple thing. And, you know...
So it should be human compassion for all that kind of comes.
But I also think it's a matter of asking for help. I mean, we all have darkness and we all have light, and we have a choice. Some people don't feel like they have a choice, or they're mirrored and just mired in that darkness. Like I was saying, almost like they're in quicksand, and they don't know how to reach out, so they lash out. And with the Suicide Prevention Benefit Concert and with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, they have a hotline, 1-800-273-TALK, so that people can reach out for help. And people can reach out whether they're in crisis or whether they know somebody who it may be in crisis and don't know what to say or do. Yeah. Everyone has friends. And they say that anyone who does kill themselves, it can leave over 100 people behind. Sure. And you never know what the ripple effect will be of your choices. You never really know until it happens. Yeah. But the idea of asking for help and building your own support system and not closing up inside yourself and becoming a darker person. I mean, have you guys ever dealt with your darkness, and how did you get out of that? I mean, we've all had tragedy, right?
I got the marks of approval right now.
I've fought depression my whole life. To this day, you know, it's. There was a line in Alien 3 where Ripley says, "You've been a part of my life so long, I can't remember anything else," and that's how depression is for me. And it's a
like
battle.
Your shadow.
Yeah.
Because I've struggled with depression and anxiety my whole life too.
Well, really, it never goes away.
No, it doesn't.
It never goes away.
But you overcome it every day when you wake up and you get up out of bed and you do stuff.
Yeah, I was in Garrett County not too long ago, and I'm not gonna say the guy's name, and he went up. It was a boy actually, probably not even 17. He went up and he did a poem about committing suicide, and I went up and I told him something that happened with me recently, just to let him know, like, you know, it takes a lot of balls to come up and talk about something like that, because you're not looking for someone to like give you a hug. You're looking to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, that's your, if anything, that's your way of talking to a friend. Just the openness, letting it out. And he came to me and he told me after the show was over, he told me that his best friend committed suicide, left him a note, and told a mutual friend to call him and read the note to him. Oh. And this was the same day he came out to his parents.
Whoa.
Not even 2 hours in between. And, you know, and I told him, I said, look, man, like, you know, I'm not going to tell you, like, it shouldn't be nobody's job to tell you how to feel. Like, and the reason why I say that, because my mindset is always those moments when you're alone. Mm-hmm. Those moments when you are really alone. Yeah. And you really shutting down, or you just alone. You have to know how to battle in your mind.
You have to be.
You have to know how to.
Yeah.
You have to know how to talk to yourself in your mind to calm you down.
Yes.
And really, like you say, you gotta, you know, just make it through the next day. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, when you get to that next day, it's different. Yes. Every day is going to be different, regardless if you still feel some type of way. Either it's going to lessen. The whole point is that when you by yourself, when you by yourself, you don't really have nobody to talk to. Mm-hmm. So when you're alone in those moments when you could just go in the room at night, when you done having fun outside, and you just have a moment, and you just by yourself, you have to know how to. You really have to know how to let that wave go. You got to really ride it out. Like, it's a hard thing to deal with, because when you let that wave ride out, mm-hmm. you have to deal with so many different thoughts. And I mean,
you ever feel like you keep yourself busy to avoid that quiet moment? Because that's what always gets me. I'm always busy. I got a lot of family I take care of,
absolutely,
and friends.
for me.
And then right there at the end of the night where you're like, okay, I could sleep, or you're driving home from wherever, and then it's like a song comes on and you're like, either you're relieved or you're like, uh-oh. And it all just, you let yourself feel because you stopped keeping your emotions busy with something else.
Yeah, like, I'm a thinker and I'm an observer. I observe a lot and I think a lot. And I'm always battling my thoughts. And I'm sorry to keep rambling. I'm making it short. I'm
gonna call you guys the Buddha twins.
But one of the things I know with me is that I'm sorry. One of the things I noticed when I was young is that when I was young, I was very suicidal and I was very like alone because I was going through a lot. And it wasn't like, looking back at it, it was just more so trying to come into my own. And this was before I was playing guitar. Mm-hmm. And luckily I had someone who was kind of going through the same thing with me, and we kind of held on to each other like a crutch, you know. But now I went through something recently, and I kind of went back to that place, and I haven't went back to that place in 15 years. Mm-hmm. So I know why it happened, and you know, and I knew exactly what it was. It was a control issue. It was just not knowing if whatever I'm doing is right. And it's just like, for anyone that's listening, it's like, you know, like you said, everyone has friends. But those moments when you have your thoughts to keep you company, you have to really know how to just not battle them so hard, but just to let it run its course. And it's a very hard thing to, like, this is just my way of how I deal with it. But it's a very hard thing. Even me saying, I think it's a hard thing to really understand, because someone can easily say, well, if it runs its course, then I'm gonna do something.
But you have
well, there's no justification.
Yeah. No,
there's
but
no
that's
justification for killing yourself, and there's no justification for killing anyone else.
Yeah,
I really believe that. And when you have those thoughts, there's a problem, and you need to get help. And a lot of people don't ask for help. They start to just justify those negative thoughts and those actions. Either they turn the anger inward and that's suicide, or they push the anger outward, and then you get these senseless acts of violence, or they seem senseless at the time. D.
When I lost my daughter, I stood at the edge of that precipice, and I looked into the dark, and the dark looked so inviting. And 1 foot over, and I started thinking of the people around me, most of whom were feeling what I felt, not to the degree that I felt. And I thought, I can't, in good conscience, inflict more of that on the people that I love who love me. I thought, any religious belief behind that act in and of itself would damn me. And I fought, and I still fight. March will be 18 years. I took my son to my daughter's grave. Taken him many times. We put pennies on her grave. She loved pennies. And we were standing there one time, and he might have been 7 or 8. And we're standing there, just sort of reflecting. And he says, "It was hard, wasn't it?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's still hard." And he hugged me and he says, "I'm glad you fought it. That's why we fight. That's why we find it within ourselves, and if we can't find it within ourselves, we find it somewhere. That's what we have to do."
I know one of the last times I was suicidal, I had 2 friends that I reached out to, which was different because a lot of the past times, like you said, when you're with yourself, then you start to think, oh, I'm a burden. I don't want to burden anybody else with this. This is a dark time. And then I just reached out, and one of my friends said, I'm glad you reached out, because if you did anything to yourself, I would think so horribly about myself and what kind of friend was I that I didn't recognize how much you were hurting, and that you didn't trust me enough to tell me when things were wrong and to let me be there for you and be a friend, thick and thin. And another friend who had just unfortunately walked into a situation where he found somebody who had committed suicide, found them hanging when he had already he had talked them out of suicide, had tried to get them to go back to work and start to do things, thought it had been a successful conversation. Guy didn't show up to work the next day. He went over to check up on him and walked in the door, and guy's hanging from the ceiling. And he told me that. He's like, I don't want to depress you further because I know you're in a low place, and for you to hear about somebody dying is probably not the best thing, but I want you to know, don't ever do that to me. Do you hate me so much and think of so little of me as a friend that I would have to be the one to find you? You never know how much you mean to people, until it's too late. I always try to tell people, how much I love them, because I never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I always live today as if it's the last day.
Yeah.
And like I think you said, a lot of people have agendas and expectations, and they get caught up in the daily grind, and they get caught up in like, I need to do this, I need to work, I need to make money, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need this car, I need this house, I need, this and this and this. And we're not our wallets, we're not our resumes, we're not our cars, we're not our homes, we're not what clothes we wear.
There are a lot of people who have everything in the world and are despicable underneath all of it.
And are still empty.
Right.
And they wonder why, and they keep going for these material objects or these statuses to try to fill themselves up. I know I tried that, and I wasn't doing music, and I was hiding from myself. I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't because I was trying to fulfill everyone else's expectations, and I had a lot of people that were not good supporters and good friends constantly telling me, you need to do this, you need to do that, this is who you should be. When I started being who I am, that's when I started finding my bliss, music, and and I started being happy, truly, honestly happy, free of everything else. And I could only wish that for everyone else out there, that you find that thing that makes you happy, whether it's your child or something like a job or a hobby, helping other people. That's another thing that's really great if you're depressed. Look outside yourself. Do some charity work. Just open door for somebody. Do something nice for someone else, and that will fill you up, because you'll realize, oh, I just might have made a change in their day, a difference in their life, just a small little thing. I mean, I know how much it affects my day if somebody holds the door, or somebody who says thank you.
Yeah.
I don't dismiss that. I know how hard that can be for some people to be aware in the moment and to just say please or thank you. Show common courtesy. That can make such a huge difference. And it can fill you up as a person. That's what's genuine, I think. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, same.
It goes a long, long, long way.
I too agree. I'm kind of quietly Sphinx-like taking this all in and trying to put it and apply it to perspective from the past 48 hours, which have been very difficult for me. Usually I'm very upbeat and helping the world, and then my identity got stolen. and I felt so bad because I thought I was going to let my parents down. All of our bank cards went, and
but see, that was because of 3 individuals
who
got selfish.
Who were going through whatever they were going through, and they felt that they needed that more than I did. And
remember what I said. God or the universe doesn't give us more than what we can handle, and obviously God thinks you're a badass.
That's right. We are all badasses up on this stage, and hopefully we don't have to, censor badass out. I'm sorry, was it badass? Yes, badass.
So we're gonna close out this segment and the show for Liner Notes Radio, but I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to say last thoughts before we close out today. I know it's an emotional topic and it's an emotional time, and I know it hurts me to the core to know that something like this happened, but yet small things like this happen every day, and it just, unfortunately, it takes a bigger event like this to bring it to the forefront. Dee, what are your final comments?
Just everyone love each other. In the last couple weeks on social media, which seems to be becoming the bane of our existence, I've seen people who I've known for 25, 30 years, who've known each other for 25, 30 years at each other's throats. And this is our only ride on this roller coaster. Let's enjoy it and help each other enjoy it.
Thank you. Boma.
Everybody should be kind to each other. Everybody needs to, I think, be patient with each other, especially on social media. I think people need to really think about how they're feeling and organize their thoughts before they go into a rage and write a Facebook post or get into an argument or something. Because again, you never know what that person on the other side of the computer is feeling and what they're going through. And I think it's important for all of us to just be kind to each other. And I wanted to kind of touch on the subject of depression and suicidal tendencies. If you have those, I really hope you have somebody you can talk to. It's a really hard topic to talk about. I went through a lot last year, and I also felt like I couldn't talk to anybody, or I didn't know how to express what I was feeling at the time. But once I managed to get around to actually discussing what I was going through and how I felt so much better. just honestly, just expressing yourself to somebody else is one of the greatest feelings you can have. And releasing your thoughts and releasing your feelings without feeling like you're being judged, I think is very important. And I think it's like the first step to a healing process, honestly. But yeah.
Project, Quentin.
I mean, first and foremost, how personally I'll say, just engage. Do your research. Call your friends and say, hey, how are you doing?
Like call them on the phone,
Call
don't
them.
text them, or
Proactively.
Facebook message
Yeah,
them,
call
or
them.
tag them, or hashtag them.
Yeah, I mean, just everyone has friends. Everyone has somebody to talk to. But 9 times out of 10, you know what? I challenge everyone who hears this and everyone who sees this.
You people.
Call on your strong friend and see how they doing. Check up on your strong friend and see how they doing. Because the strong ones are the weakest ones. You just don't know it.
Very true.
That's it.
I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in today. I wanted to thank our wonderful guests, Quentin Randall, Boma Jack, Dee Calhoun, Derek Credito.
Yes.
I wanted to thank the Hotel RL for allowing us to have this forum to talk. And I wanted to reiterate the importance of, I think engagement is a very big thing. When you're on social media, which seems to be the preferred way for people to talk now, is I'd rather text somebody, and sometimes we all know how texts can be misinterpreted. Sarcasm is misinterpreted.
Tone does not convey.
Does not convey.
It causes rifts in families. It does.
Well, and you really don't ever know how hard somebody can be, and how you're impacting people. And it's very easy to be mean and to disengage and be frivolous with people's feelings when you don't see their face or when you don't hear their voice. And I second the notion of just loving each other. Truly be the big person. You can make such a difference in someone's life if you just take the initiative to be that bigger person, to be that person to help someone. I know that there have been countless people in my life who have, probably teachers even, who will never know how much of a positive effect they had on me. A word, noticing something. This one teacher realized that I was being bullied at school in the mornings and used to allow me to come in early to school and help her clean her classroom so that I would be her quote-unquote assistant and would be allowed to be in the school and be protected from the bullies. I don't think she understood, even at, I think I was 10 or 11 at the time, I was suicidal then as a little kid, and how much of a difference that made from me taking a bunch of pills or doing something stupid to hurt myself. Again, you never know who you can impact. And I can only say, pay it forward. And if you don't know what to say, please use the suicide hotline, the suicide prevention hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. It's not just for people in crisis, but if you are in crisis, please call. If you don't think you can talk to a friend or a family member, get the support you need. Don't allow that anger to turn inward, and certainly don't allow that anger to go outward on somebody else. But I wanted to thank you all for watching. And again, just be good to one another and love yourself. You have purpose. There's a reason for you being here. Everybody has a purpose in life, and it's your responsibility to find that purpose. Meg?
I don't think that I can say that any better than you just did. And I think all of our musical guests tonight really shared things that, just in the music world, you see a lot of people, and at a show, you don't get time to talk like this deeply on that level. Like Quentin and I I had no idea the Buddha within. And some of the things he was talking about reminded me of this one song I wrote that I really take to heart, and it's called Soul Defined. And the first couple lines of the chorus or refrain is, I have good friends, they're thick as blood. I have loved ones, they're strong as a fist fight. I think family, I'm always going to love blood relatives, but family is what you make it as well. And I'm an only child, so I adopt a lot of brothers and sisters along the way. And it's nice to really just be present and be the best person you can be and love those people in your life. So hopefully everyone has taken something positive away from this on a very dark day. And make sure that you're there for each other. And hopefully that the music in your life will help you heal, because it's a universal language. You don't have to speak a certain language to understand what the music is saying.
And just, again, to think about the people in Las Vegas who were lost, injured, or impacted by the Las Vegas shooting. I want to take a moment of silence. Let's remember those people and remember our own hearts and our own compassion, and that we all have a reason for being here, and just love one another. So let's take a moment of silence. Thank you all for watching Liner Notes Radio this week. Please take good care of each other and yourselves. Have a great evening.